Before I jump into the presentation, I want to ask a question. How many people here are a founder or are an employee at a startup? Just raise your hand. Okay, cool. And how many people want to get more users or customers? And hopefully everybody raises their hands here. How many people don't want to pay much for it, or ideally zero? Cool, that's kind of unicorn. And my title of this slide is a little misleading. It actually should be how to grow your startup, putting in thousands of hours, many sleepless nights, and a crap load of work. But it will be for free. Hi, I'm Sujan Patel. I'm the co-founder of Web Profits US, a growth marketing agency. And before I jump into the tactics, I want to tell you a few rules of growth. I feel like a lot of people see all these awesome startups grow really quickly, and they try to repeat what they've done. They try to do too much. So my first rule of growth is focus on your top 3 channels. You can't do everything. You can't win at every channel. If you look at the most successful companies, they only really win at a few channels. So don't try to do everything for everyone because you're going to suck at most of them. So focus on a few, especially if you're an early stage startup and you have $0 for marketing. Focus on 1 or 2, excel at them, and then move on because you're not going to win at everything. The next thing I see a lot of startups make a mistake on is not knowing their funnel. And what I mean by this is a funnel. I don't care what kind of startup you have, what flow you have. People need to be aware of you. That may be traffic, that may be PR, what have you. And then they need to convert. And maybe there's some things in between or afterwards, but typically that's what happens. And a lot of people try to optimize for conversion rates, landing page optimization, but what they really need is more traffic. So focus on these 2 common areas, more traffic and better conversions. And this is a big one. You're going to probably read lots of articles on 5 ways Airbnb won the market, or 15 ways to rocket your startup to success. There's no magic bullet, and what worked for others is probably a little situational, a little bit of good luck, and a lot of hard work. So don't just believe everything you read or hear, right? Test it for yourself and figure out what is the right thing for you to do. And over time, you will figure out some of these tactics that you read about may work for you or may be worthwhile, and others probably don't want to pursue. And always default back to your focus on the top 3 channels or figure out what those are. And screw PR, right? If you're a startup and if you're banking on winning and getting customers from PR, I have a news flash. It's not going to work. Focus on making your customers fall in love with you, your brand, your company, your product. Even if your product sucks, and it probably does early on, I know a lot of mine have, just focus on people falling in love with their experience with you. That may be when they visit your website, maybe contact support, what have you. But instead of focusing on PR, focus on a great customer experience. So today's agenda, we're going to break it down into 3 steps. First and foremost is pre-launch. Yes, before you launch your startup or even sell a product, you're going to need to build up some marketing and build up a brand. Then we're going to go into how to nail your launch. And lastly, some big boy marketing. You've got a product, you've got an idea, maybe you got a few hundred customers. Now you're ready for some big boy marketing and some scalable things. And I want to share with you a few examples. These are the 3 channels at Mailshake, previously contentmarketer.io, that we use to get 5,200 customers. Content marketing, influencer marketing, and really just the community. We did stellar customer support. We educated our audience. And a lot of this was me at night answering customer support tickets. And people appreciated the fact that I was doing that. I used the same tactics at my company, Narrow, to grow to 1,213 customers. We used a lot of influencer marketing, meaning other people who have authorities or a brand in social media to promote our product. Customer advocacy, meaning we just gave everything to our customers. We helped them with onboarding and and making sure they had a really great experience. And what ended up happening is customers brought in more customers. And that kind of ties into community. At Q, another company I'm a part of, we used these tactics or these 3 channels to grow to 30 or 20,000 users. Partnerships was a big part of it. You've probably seen Q on AppSumo a couple times. That's what I mean by a partnership. That drove almost half of the users and a lot of and the tail end of that awareness. Again, influencer marketing and referrals. People just kept referring us more and more business. And so we focused on it. Instead of saying, oh, let's go try to do PR, let's go try to do content marketing, we just said, let's just get better at getting referrals. And the crazy thing is, it all happened under a year. Most of these startups launched in mid-2015, and by summer of this year, we hit these goals. I'm not trying to show off here, but when you do the right marketing, when you focus on your main 3 channels, and you make them work even better, things start working well. So let's jump into 9 tactics that can help you pre-launch. And what I mean by pre-launch is before your product is ready for sale. Even if it's ready, sandbag it a bit, move it back, and just do a little bit of marketing to build up some hype, to build up an audience. So first and foremost, hopefully this is dead no-brainer for everybody here. You should create a landing page and have some sort of email opt-in. Hopefully this is not news to you. If it is, go home and build a landing page right now. Use unbalanced lead pages, whatever. Just make a landing page. But next thing you need to do is build an audience. And I love building an audience up front, especially if you're in the B2B space. You need authority. You need people who like you, care about you, even to a certain small extent. My favorite way is to build an ebook or create an ebook. Actually, I knew I was going to do 2 marketing software companies, Content Marketer IO, now Mailshake, and Narrow, back in 2015. So I wrote a book on growth hacking. That sold, at the time before we launched, about 30,000 copies, which were 30,000 email addresses, 30,000 people who got value from me and who were listening. And so we used that to launch, and that helped us a lot. So I like launching with this ebook or some sort of epic content where you can use to really just show value and give first and get people to, again, fall in love with you. You can also do this by blogging. Don't try to do this daily. Don't worry about the cadence just yet. Focus on just really good content that is unique. Unique is the key factor. And guest posts. Guest posts is another great way to build an audience. I like to do it externally because other websites have an audience already, so I'd rather pull from them instead of my own blog, which, if you're starting from scratch, you have 0 visitors, to get to 100 or any meaningful numbers might be hard. But if you combine that with guest posts, it's easy. And I did a search before I put this on the slide. I searched for 100 or knitting blogs, and there was 100 knitting blogs. So if you're this awesome startup trying to revolutionize the knitting industry, there's 100 blogs for you to guest post on. There's no excuses for not finding a blog to guest post on. Next, build relationships with influencers. Use the book to reach out. Make an excuse, whatever excuse it is, to get connected with them. It's not that you're asking for favors or asking for help. You just need to build a relationship. You can even interview them. And curate, if you can't create content, curate good content on social media. And lastly, befriend a journalist. Yes, I know I said screw PR, but it doesn't hurt to know some influencers and journalists. Next is smart cold emails. One of my favorite tactics in marketing or user acquisition is not SEO, content, paid search, or anything like that. It's good old-fashioned cold emails. And you can do it in a less annoying way or a less spammy way if you follow this process. First and foremost, identify your customers or who you think your customer is going to be. Get their attention on social media. Follow them on Facebook, on Twitter. Follow them on Facebook. Just get their attention somehow. Use hunter.io and many other tools to find their email addresses. And instead of saying, hey, buy my product or we're launching this great idea, promote your ebook and just say, can you give me feedback or I want to know what you think? And essentially, you're doing this in a very harmless way and you're not asking for anything. And then use retarget links to remarket to them. It's text or link-based retargeting, so you can do it really, really easily. And lastly, follow up with more valuable content. So in this smart cold email process, I haven't talked at all about my product or what I do. I've just led with value. My retargeting kind of handles the rest. And what will happen is, at some point, people will respond to you saying, what the hell do you do? Can I buy from you? And if they do, that's when you got them on the hook, or at least it helps you start that conversation. And most of you are not going to have enough traffic to A/B test anything. Frankly, new startups, the traffic is the biggest problem. And even if you get traffic, it's situational. Let's say you got some PR, or somebody you sent an email to your list. Well, maybe they're already aware of you, so A/B testing on that is not going to help you. The traffic that you're going to get in the future is not the same as what you have now. So use Facebook. Again, figure out your customer persona and use the ad text there to A/B test. And yes, you can do this with $0. If you go to your hosting company, you can get about $50 to $150 Facebook credit. So use that. All right, now let's talk about some good old-fashioned launch marketing. This is what you do when you're ready to launch. First and foremost, product hunt. Don't submit it yourself. Make sure you plan this. Product hunt is the new tech crunch. It's the new way to launch. I love it because you're posting to a huge community, and you're pretty much saying, give me feedback. But what ends up happening is you do get some new customers and great feedback, and then it's a form of validation, and you might get PR after that. Let's assume you've built this list and you did the right pre-launch marketing. Now it's time to email your list. In fact, email your list saying you launched on Product Hunt, and what you're doing is you're combining some of these things you've done. Now it's time to pitch the journalist. But don't just pitch the journalist like, hey, we launched, here's this press release, because that crap doesn't work. It's like trying to give away a used shirt, not even just a used car. Like, if you're wearing a T-shirt, you're trying to give it to somebody, I don't want a used shirt. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want anyone's shirt. So pitching a journalist, use data and storytelling, and then a little bit of retargeting, right? Use the same process as the retarget links I mentioned before. And once you have enough data, then pitch it. And again, Product Hunt will give you a little bit of PR. Next, email your friends and family, and trust me, they will support you. And also send cold email. So if you couldn't do it in the pre-launch, do it now. And lastly, anyone that comes to your site, retarget them on Facebook with ebooks, demo ads, or anything that's value add. And remember, timing is everything. If you've done a few things right on the pre-launch, a few things right on the launch, things will start to compound. That's when magic starts to happen. And like I said, your friends and family will support you. This is actually a screenshot of a company I acquired a few months ago. We brought it back it was a failed startup. We brought it back to life. I just posted this message to my friends and family, and I got more likes than I've gotten on a lot of other things. So all I did was tell a good story, and again, friends and family will support you if you ask them to. You can't, you're not going to get rich off that, but it will give you a little bit of a spark. Next thing is, if you're a software company or just trying to transform any industry, you are likely going to have a very, very hard time trying to convert a trial or lead into a customer. Unless you're e-commerce, you're going to have this problem. And the way I try to tackle this is concierge onboarding. What concierge onboarding is essentially is you are blocking somebody from moving forward within your app or your software and your web experience and getting them on the phone, getting them to talk to you. And what you're doing is you're doing customer development, and you're also doing, you're helping them get through that next step. And sometimes it's walking or dragging them through the mud of like, hey, here's how you do it. And you really need to do this for your first few hundred trials or leads so you understand what your customers want. At contentmarketer.io, which transformed to Mailshake, we pivoted because what we found was we wanted to create this awesome content marketing tool. And what we found while doing this hundreds of times over was that people don't know how to do content marketing. And so I'm like, holy crap, okay, if I'm trying to do a tool to promote content, if people don't know what content to write about, this is not going to work. And so all of our efforts were then focused on education, on what to write about. And this process will give you great insight on your customers, your process. Don't try to scale first. Do this manually, the good old-fashioned way, and then scale what works. It'll save you a lot of time. All right, now for some grown-up marketing. Look at how much fun these guys are having. That's how much fun, hopefully, you guys will have doing marketing with a budget. First, thank your customers. Yes, you're going to need to do SEO, content, all these other channels, but it starts with this fundamental of thanking and appreciating people paying you money, people willing to think about paying you money. Buffer does a great job at this with their receipts. When they send you a monthly invoice or receipt, they say thank you. Without you, Buffer wouldn't exist. They tell you a story about their team. I don't know about you guys, but I feel really nice when I get that invoice, and I don't really feel nice when I get an invoice ever. You can also use thank you cards. You can automate it if you're lazy using maillift.com. We did this at oneatwork.com, and what we found was that 20% of people ended up sharing on Facebook and Twitter their thank you card. Just showing our appreciation, customers started showing their appreciation, and that resulted in just more people signing up. It was awesome, and so we doubled down on it. Thank them on social media. If people sign up, you have an email address, use Clearbit to enrich that data, and those you can find a social profile, just send them a thank you. Twitter works especially well. Give them swag. Probably a little later on when you have a little bit more money, but swag works so well. People wear it, people appreciate it, and you can also double it with the thank you cards. Educate them. So once you've got a customer in the door, don't just stop. Don't not talk to them again or just send them invoices. Keep doing educational marketing to your customers. Make your customers smarter, better, and help them do their jobs. Every once in a while, I just email my customers, hey, here's this, or what's your problems that you're having? I use Qualaroo or something of that nature to survey people in the app, and I literally send them information that will help them do their job better. And what this results in is more referrals, more customers advocating your brand, and people just overall having a better experience. You can also invite them to a private community. You can create a small community. It doesn't have to be complex. You can create a Facebook group, a LinkedIn group. I'd recommend a Facebook group or Slack. If you're more techie people, more active developers, Slack. More small business owners, more consumer-facing businesses, Facebook is a great place. And what you're doing is you're trying to get everyone together. First, you're going to talk at them or to them, and they're going to have a one-to-one. But when the magic starts happening is when they start talking to each other. That's when you build a community. And that's when your customers start selling each other and building brand. I remember a few months ago, we had a big outage at Narrow. About 30% of our users were affected. And unfortunately, we had to give 30% of those users all their money back for that month. It kind of hurt because we're a bootstrap startup, and I just saw a big check go out of a bank account. It's super sad. But posted on Facebook saying, guys, here's what's happening. We're really sorry. We refunded your money. And we're stopping signups, we're fixing it, stay tuned. And everybody rallied around us. They said, hey, how can we help? Somebody even offered to create a fund and pay us up front to help us fix it faster. Because they know we're a small startup. And I don't know about you guys, but when your customers start offering you money to help you get back up and running, that's a pretty good community. That's what happens when your customers love you. And that's why it's so important to make sure your customers love you. Drift does a great job. I told you, thank them on social media. Drift does a great job. They email or they tweet at you. They email you. And what they do is they start this conversation. And once they start that conversation, they then offer you a T-shirt. Essentially, their customer success person is trying to help you get better at your job. Next, ask your customers. Ask your customers for feedback. Ask them to help you spread the word. Like, you can create this fantastic, amazing referral program, advocacy program. You can invite them to Facebook, but why not just shoot them an email and saying, hey, what do you think about the product? What do you think about our service? Why not just send them an email and saying, hey, would you be up for sharing this with your friends? Here's a link. Here's how. If that starts working, then you can double down. Don't go into bloated software or development. Don't waste development resources to try to advocate or create referral programs. Start by testing. Again, referrals. And lastly, ask them to describe your product. These are the guys who signed up, are paying you money, and they think your product is probably mediocre to great, somewhere in that range. Ask them what they think about your product, but ask them to describe your product in one sentence. That's your headline. Take the most common answer, spice it up, maybe take off a few words, revise it a bit, but that is your answers. You're getting your customers to essentially tell you what you're doing. And it's unbelievable, the difference of what you think your product does versus what your customers are paying for. Remember, there's only 5 scalable channels of growth. This is from Andrew Chan here. You're going to see him speak a little later today. There's SEO, paid acquisition, right? Whether it's paid social, PPC, however you're buying traffic. There's word of mouth, virality, customer marketing, customer referrals. Essentially, people that know you or have experience with your brand, advocating you or advocating your brand. Sales, right? That's either cold email, outbound sales, SDRs, however which way you want to slice it, and this magical other. What does other actually mean? Let me define that. Other is this rare or situational marketing channel that sometimes works. It's PR. It's how Airbnb leveraged Craigslist to build their initial customers, both sides demand and supply. It's not going to work again, mainly because Craigslist doesn't exist in Australia, but also because they've put in some spam filters to avoid these issues. Sometimes it's PR. Sometimes it's on getting on TV. Sometimes it's partnerships. Other channels may work, but focus on the main channels, SEO, paid, virality, and customer marketing, because those are very, very proven channels, and they will likely work much, much better. Thank you guys for listening. I want to offer everybody here a free copy of my book, 100 Days of Growth. So go to 100daysofgrowth.com and use the code Startcon to get a free copy. Thank you and take care.